wild ones, it's Bernadette, and I'm here with your Pick a Card Tarot reading for Thursday, April 15th, 2020. First of all, thank you, a bajillion thank yous. Man, I'm so excited for you guys. You're pledging the Kickstarter, and yes, that's important because it helps me get the book published, because it's no joke what it costs to get a book published and shipped all the way from China. It's really no joke. Plus, it's all color, and it's 700 pages. It's like the definitive work on the subject of animal spirit guides. It's craziness. And so, kind of like my hair this morning, I don't even know what my hair is doing. And so, what I'm mostly excited about, though, is you guys are going to get this book, and you're just going to have I don't even know the experiences you're going to have with your animal allies and learn. Oh, you're going to get to learn to make your own sigils and your own talisman, and it's going to be cray-cray. But in the meantime, just the depth of the messages that are coming through this week for you all is like, I know there's something big on the horizon for y'all. I know there's something bigger than I think you even get, because I don't have any control over which cards come out. And today, I got to do the business thing real quick. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the bell notification so you get notified, join gatheringmystics.com, yak, and please, if you haven't got your book, please go to Kickstarter and get your book, because the minute Kickstarter's over, the price of that book is going up. Why? I keep mentioning this because I'm still bitter. The paper prices in China, well, really all over the place, have just gone skyrocket. And so I've really got to up the book price after the Kickstarter. You're getting a sweet deal. So, okay. Crazy with this message, right? Because today is Heart Chakra Day. Thursdays are Heart Chakra days. And when you take a look at this card, the Nautilus, the Ace of Cups inverted, I just had to sit for a minute, and I had to put on a deep, like a purpley. I couldn't find my deep blue shirt that I wanted to wear. I don't know where it's at. Probably my dog's wearing it somewhere in the house as a nightshirt. And so I just, man, I had to sit with that for a minute, because let me just say this, you're going to have to hang with me a bit on this message, because it's detailed and it's really deep. So let's just take a look at the traditional tarot card meanings of the Rider-Waite version, which is what my deck is based on, which is what I read off of, the Arc Animal Tarot and Oracle deck. And it follows the tradition of the Rider-Waite deck, and then of course, it adds and marries and integrates all the crazy energy and medicine of the animal allies. And so when you take a look at a Nautilus shell inverted, that is going to mean, like, what are the challenging aspects of that? What are maybe some of the tougher things to know about a Nautilus and its behavior and its habits and its symbolism if it's turned upside down? And then you talk about, anything in cups being turned upside down, things pour out of them. But when we take a look at the Ace of Cups, just its overall meaning, it's like, this is, God, it's just such a beautiful card. It's all about true joy and real fulfillment. Like fulfillment that you didn't even know that you were missing until you're fulfilled with it. How could you know, right? Until you get there and you're like, I never knew I could feel this way, or I never knew something like this could feel this way, right? And so that's divine inspiration. You look at the hand of God coming out of the sky, handing the cup. It's got the clock. It's got the white dove. It's got the 26 drops of water coming out of it. And it just, you've got that goofy feeling. You're just like, this is so cool. And you can't stop talking about it. That's awesome. Then we get into, okay, now you're talking about a golden chalice, and maybe that represents a divine communion. And then the arms that are crossed to point to the 4 cardinal directions. Now you're bringing in the power of the 4 directions. And that's, that can go to shamanic-y kind of things. Definitely the Native American medicine wheel, that can be, to a degree, right? Basically, symbols are symbols, and they're going to mean many of the same things across all cultures. And then of course you dive into the water, right? The cups is all about water. It's about travel to the astral world and the meeting of the spiritual and experience. And there are 5 streams pouring from the cup: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. That means that the divine inspiration that we're going to get is going to manifest itself physically through our 5 senses. The 26 drops of water, that's the numerical value of the Hebrew word. I don't do very well saying this word, which is weird because I come from a Jewish family, but Yud He Vav He, God. And it's a formula that also symbolizes the process of creation. And then there are, of course, 26 letters in the English language, and that is where you bring all the abstracts together to form words that then you say your intentions and what's on your heart and all that kind of thing. Now, having said that, let me just say this about the mathematical process. So before I get to the reversed card meanings, when you take a look at a Nautilus shell, there are a lot of people that will say that the Nautilus shell is a natural embodiment of, or nature's way of, a golden spiral, the Fibonacci sequence, if you look into that. And it's all this like highbrow mathematical stuff that just makes my head hurt. But I get it. Like, I get the symbolism of it. You know, can I sit there and do the pi this and the this, that, and the this over this? No. I'd rather just I'd rather watch Big Bang Theory, right? And pretend that I'm smart, because I get all the jokes on a sitcom. That's how smart I am when it comes to math, y'all. I got to watch Big Bang Theory to feel like I even get math at all. And really, I'm just laughing at the jokes that the sitcom writers wrote. So, all that being said, there is a definite mathematical thing going on today. And what that really is going to mean is that you are being called on to dive deep into that water of the cups and start to understand. Ooh, why do I keep saying that word? We're not saying the US word anymore. Understand, we're not saying that. Remember? Because that subconsciously understand, it means you're standing under somebody. Somebody has more than you, more knowledge than you, is superior to you. That ain't true. Nobody's superior to you. That ain't true. Ooh, I'm going to make that into a song. Yes, I am. I'm going to rap it. That's what I'm going to do. So it's, it really, you're being called to take a look at patterns. Let me take away the word math. I was just told, take away the word math, because most of you just went wham, and your head hit the computer. Hit the computer when I said math. Patterns. In math, there are patterns, but in all kinds of other things, there are patterns as well. Human behavior, colors, there are patterns, okay? And so when you take a look at the perfect spiral or the near perfect spiral of a Nautilus, you're very much reminded of the perfect spiral of life, the wheel of fortune, the Native American medicine wheel, and the never-ending cycle of things is perfect, because the chambers inside a Nautilus shell are measured where they're almost in perfect mathematical, like if this one's this big and then that one's that big, then they go in mathematical sequence to each other and get bigger and bigger and bigger, and all in perfect, near perfect anyway for most of them, the equations of the math. So when it comes to looking for patterns, you know, here in the South, we're pretty simple. I mean, we always say if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Now, sometimes that's not true, and we've got to be really careful not to prejudge things. But, you know, when people show you a pattern, they're good to you all the time. They're not so good to you all the time. They tell the truth. They don't tell the truth. They do this. They do that. They don't do this. They don't do that. That's not saying that a leopard can't change its spots. It can. But there's something that you start to notice when you see patterns. Now, that's in people. Let's say that all of a sudden there was, I am not a fan of patterns that have jagged edges. I've never cared. Now, unless it's a star, right? I've never cared for that, like the chevron symbol or other. Oh, I don't know. They grate me. I'm a round person. So I like round, soft things. I am a mandala freak of nature and always have been. You'll see the mandalas behind me. There are mandalas all over my house in various places. I am mandala crazy. So that mathematical pattern suits me, but it's really more the pattern that suits me. And so when there was a time in my life, well, there have been a number of times in my life when I would see repeating numbers. We always talk about those being angel numbers. But I was seeing repeated jagged edges thing, in particular the chevron symbol. it was irking me because I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, don't you know that it's this whole long story, but it was a warning to me that I just didn't get until it happened. And I was like, oh, that's what the universe was trying to tell me with the chevron symbol. But I was so busy being worried, preoccupied about how much that symbol, I didn't like it. What I didn't notice was I don't really like that symbol. Was like, I can't stand that symbol. And that was a precognitive psychic thing, reaction, emotional reaction to what I was, the chevron symbol as a pattern was trying to tell me, but I wasn't recognizing it as that, but I was reacting psychically to what was coming because I couldn't get my head out of my you-know-what long enough to see what was what. And that was it. I mean, it really was that. It was what was that? We're done here. That was that. And I don't even know that there was really anything I could do to prevent the speeding freight train that was coming for me. But it laid me flat. It surely did. And it hurt worse because I just don't like jagged edgy things. But and it hurt worse because I didn't get it. Who knows if I could have done anything about it. But the point would have been to notice the pattern. And it's even about noticing patterns in yourself. I'm going through this myself. I keep talking about my sugar thing because y'all, the struggle is real. I mean, I've even told myself, if you want to save your life, Carter, because that's my maiden name, then you better get with the program and eat. 3 o'clock this morning, I woke up, I started thinking about something, and I just reached for that little Reese's egg, and without even thinking about it. Now, I came up with a brilliant idea because sugar really does help me think. But man, I mean, the minute I was like, what a good, good. Which, of course, begs the question, what was that Reese's egg doing in my house? It knocked on the door. It needed a home, and I just can't turn away any kind of stray. I heard dink, dink, dink on the door. My dog Hops went crazy. I opened the door. I'm looking for somebody, and I hear this little voice, "Excuse me, ma'am." And I'm like, who is talking to me? Ma'am, down here. And I looked down. There was a whole big box of Reese's eggs. There was a colony of them, and they had been turned out of their home at Walgreens, and they needed, I couldn't tell them no. Anyway, okay, listen. I got Reese's eggs in my house. They were half price at Walgreens. What can I tell you? So, and I get them there every year, half price. Oh, it's a glorious day for me. Here's where I'm going with that. It is, I have recognized the pattern in myself finally. I'm sure somebody else could have told me this, that when I'm emotional or I don't feel this or I feel this away or that away, I reach for the sugar. Come on now. That's like elementary nutrition 101. But seeing a pattern doesn't necessarily mean you want to admit a pattern, which is really where all of this is going to. So let me just cut to the rest of the chase instead of making up some crazy story about how poor it turned out. Homeless Reese's Easter eggs came to my house, but they did. They needed a home, and they are getting in my tummy because of that. Okay, listen. So here's the thing. When you take a look at the Ace of Cups reversed, it really is asking you to draw attention or to focus your attention or to try to put your attention on things you wouldn't otherwise have noticed. Like if you flip that cup upside down, now you've got, you've got the letter M instead of the letter W. Now, Helena Blavatsky says that she loves this card because when you flip it upside down, now you've got the balance of M for male and W for woman, and you've got the feminine divine and the masculine divine. And now you can start doing that to look you could even use the energy of this card to look in the patterns of your male-female relationships. Then if you take an even deeper look, the W on the chalice when it's upright and the 5 streams of water that come out of the Ace of Cups are a very clear reference to the 23rd Psalm, in particular to the verse of thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. And W is the 23rd letter of the alphabet. Hello. So I think it's trying to protect you. I don't know what from. I don't know what you need protecting from at this moment in your life. Hopefully nothing. But y'all, even getting out and opening the door these days, I mean, I spilled some water on the floor the other day. I forgot. I came whizzing into my kitchen on that tile and I said, ski whammo, whammo right on the ground, and thought, that's what you get for not taking 2 seconds and bending down and getting that water. I said, whammo, like I was on a slip and slide. It wasn't that fun though. So I really, at the end of the day, this card and this Nautilus. Oh, let me just say one more thing about Nautilus. Ooh, this is so important. This is definitely why it's about recognizing the patterns. I should have said this at the very beginning, because this is the most important thing, and I hope y'all have hung with me through this. Nautilus can dive deep, like super deep. And when we're talking about going deep in water, we're talking about the emotions. But there comes a point they go too deep and they self-implode. It's horrible, but they do. And they're poor little Nautilus, so I don't know that they recognize what's going on, but they just implode, which says it's really time to protect yourself by recognizing the patterns before you go too deep and you implode. Because that's what this is really all about, is that. So I hope that was helpful. I told you it was a deep dive into the craziness today. It's just like, I don't know what this is that Spirit is trying to tell you guys ultimately, but Spirit is like doing the thing to get down really deep with you all this week, and me too. I mean, I don't do these readings in a vacuum. I always come away with something for myself, obviously. So I hope that was helpful. For the third time, pick up your copy of the Arcanimal Tarot and Oracle deck. Please go check out the book at Kickstarter. You've got to have this book if you care anything about your relationship with your spirit, totem, and power animal guides. You've got to have this book. Go over to gatheringofmystics.com, join us over there, all the shenanigans that go on over there, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. But what's the most important thing, as always? To do good for animals and to stay wild.